Hello everyone, greetings and welcome to more of Halo Wars Definitive Edition. This is the Leader Overhaul mod, and specifically what this mod does, particularly for these matches, is we can spectate AI players. So, this is the third episode in the series. First video we had Forge versus Arbiter on the docks. Last video we had, it was UNSC plus the Flood take on the Covenant. This time we're going to try to get a little bit more creative, if you will, where we're going to have actually the Rebel Insurrectionist leader here, which is what's building these unique structures, which is actually really, really cool. We'll get a lot of new units and even buildings is what it looks like here. And then finally, Yap Yap, or the Grunt leader, is here as well for the Covenant, I should say. And we're going to be taking on just one Flood enemy, Gravemind, or the Flood leader, however you want to specify, I suppose, is on the other team. We're on Exile, and we're going to see how this goes, because the Flood is actually, like, really, I would say, powerful, borderline. I don't know if broken is a good way to define it, but Flood is really, really good as part of this mod. There is a playlist, by the way, featuring all of the videos in this series. We're going to be doing different maps, different leaders. This mod even includes some new maps, so we'll be taking a look at those shortly as well. And of course, we've been modding Halo Wars 1 with all sorts of stuff, so there's a playlist for that as well. On to this particular match. I've actually not played as the Rebel Insurrectionist leader. Well, I guess I take that back. I have. I've done a mod video, and I honestly can't recall if there was a specific mod that touched on the Rebel Insurrectionist leader, like if that was the only thing included, or it might have been an older version of this mod as well. I really don't know. However, so one thing that the Flood leader can do, and I think actually, I'm just going to refer to the Grunt leader as Yap Yap because it's just easier. It might be technically incorrect. I think one of Yap Yap's abilities is it can build buildings with the special ability of perhaps this Deacon here. I'm not really so sure. But the Flood can do that as well. When we played last on Frozen Valley, it was actually kind of a back and forth because no one was really attacking all the other bases. Now, here's actually a good question. Is we have the Flood on the other team, and I didn't mean to do this on purpose. Does that mean that these Flood colony bases that are neutral on Exile, are they technically friendly with this Flood? I would imagine the answer is no, but it would be cool if the answer was yes. Anyway, there's not a whole lot going on here, so I think I'm just going to jump cut to when some action happens, whether that is our allies are attacking the Flood, or they attack us, or perhaps when something changes. Oh, wait, hang on. We may have some action here. I saw those. Oh my goodness, look at all these men. Well, they're not men. They're things. Look at all these things. Okay, never mind. We don't need to cut at all. There's a Thrasher form already attacking this base. And I swear to you, I say this every time, I feel like this is where the Goliaths come from. It just makes so much sense. A whole drop of stuff from the sky. Infected elites and brutes. I gotta say what I love is you can really zoom in here and see the individual detail of not only like the character animations, but the individual weapons as well. Like we see a sniper here, a neither rifle, a brute shot, plasma rifle. It looks like a fuel rod. This insurrectionist leader, he's gonna leave and make a new base, is what it looks like. He is getting out of dodge, which is quite pathetic, honestly. I don't really know what the hell that was all about. Now, everyone is on Legendary. There is some action over here. Okay, so Yap Yap is retaliating. Flood can kind of free build. I think I mentioned that earlier. If not, I apologize. So these are little buildings here. Can train vehicles, is what it looks like. And goodness gracious, that's taking forever. You can make cannon fodder in Halo Wars 1. I love that. And it looks like they have like almost the identical animations that we see here as well. What's this health bar for? Oh, it's a spirit. A little bit of a delayed reaction, I suppose. We're dropping... Were those bomb grunts? I guess kind of suicide grunts? Cannon fodder clearly does nothing. Definitely living up to their name. The flood... I'm sorry. Rebel leader is moving over here. That base is surprisingly taking a long time to die. There's infected flamethrowers. I like that. Flood's taking that base, it looks like. I think this is kind of a...
Allies attempting to acquire an additional base.
Yeah, I think that's smart, our ally, to acquire an additional base. Now, I think it's weird, perhaps a mistake on my end, that I had the Covenant... I'm sorry, the Flood be an opponent on a Flood-infected map. I mean, that base is absolutely toast. I mean, he's still continuing to build buildings. Looks like the Spade has an upgrade. It's actually kind of cool.
Our ally has extra supplies.
You know, another thing, too, is, like, I wonder how lore accurate a lot of these things are. Like, I get it. Like, you know, a whole reason why we have the Spartan program is, of course, because of the Rebels, and that was a major problem. And the Spartans were kind of reused to fight against the Covenant. And there are plenty of instances of the Rebels, not only in the first Halo Wars game, which I think is cool that they touch on that, actually, and there's Rebel bases in a lot of the Halo Wars 1 multiplayer maps, which I think makes the lore of the multiplayer of Halo Wars 1 really cool. Besides that, what is this? It's a barracks. That's kind of cool. Look at that. Custom design buildings. That's kind of neat. And on top of that, it's like, I think the aesthetic that is nailed in this mod is so good. I mean, you know, especially the backporting of features from Halo Wars 2 into Halo Wars 1, I think is really, really cool. But we'll have to see here. Is the Rebel leader going to retaliate in any sort of way? Now, there is a little bit of an issue. And it's actually kind of where I wish mods would stack. There's a lot of units coming this way. Holy. What is all this? Rebels, light infantry. You can hear that Vista pistol firing, as it's like to be called. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, stacking mods. I wish mods could be stacked in the first Halo Wars game. Because I know there's better AI mods out there to make the AI not stupid, you know? I'm not trying to insult the AI here of Halo Wars 1, but they're very one-dimensional. Like, for example, Idiot here is attacking a supply pad, and then, you know, they'll attack the next building, and then the next building after that. I mean, so on and so forth. So, you know, what they really failed to attack, or sometimes are just main bases altogether. And what they'll even do is just completely ignore, like, empty base slots. Looks like the Flood is expanded over here, potentially. And instead, like, they'll go to take out Rebel bases, or bases that are occupied by the Flood or the Forerunners. They're not really smart with their leader powers. But you know what? Another thing, too, is, like, maybe it gets a little bit more complicated because the AI is trying to figure out how to use modded stuff. Oh, my goodness. Look at all of this. This is actually pretty awesome. Look at all these Flood units. I mean, Rebels are toast. And we do see from time to time that downed infantry and even vehicles will be resurrected and infected to fight for the Flood. Not a chance. I mean, that was a huge counter push. Let's see. Over here, we have the Grunt leader attacking. Again, cannon fodder doesn't do a whole lot here. So I'm not expecting a really big attack. I think really the bread and butter is over here, and that base is already gone. I don't know what all that red
Ally
means.
is building up in preparation for a strong attack.
Building up in preparation of a strong attack. Yeah, I just had been complaining about them not building bases, and somehow this man has 3 bases. So maybe I am in the wrong. I don't really know. What I do know is it's not going to be a good attack. You know, that's something I think Halo Wars 2 missed in a really bad way, is the bases. All of the bases in Halo Wars 2 are empty, meaning there are no natural or neutral forces occupying those base slots. In Halo Wars 1, we have technically 3 different factions. You have the Rebels, the Flood, and the Forerunners, depending on which map you're on, because each map kind of takes place in a different time or different setting of the Halo Wars 1 campaign, right? So I think that's just really, really cool that they were able to do that effectively. And there's different ways to strategize against whichever faction kind of holds that base. For Flood, you may want to go with some more flamethrowers. With the Forerunners, you may want to have a little bit of anti-air. And then vehicles are probably best against the Rebels. I think that's really cool. Now, it's unknown if this push is actually going to do anything. And we're going to see here. You just lost that base. You want to rebuild it? I don't think that's the move, sir. I always wish there was some sort of interactive thing with this giant Flood base here in the center of the map, but there's not. A lot of people really hate this map because it really encouraged rushing, especially if you were down at the bottom. I mean, you're like right across the street from your opponent, and a lot of times they'll try to take this X-bow here because it's an empty slot. So either like you need to rush to an expansion base, or if you don't, they will and make you pay for it. So I totally get it. If you're on the bottom floor, you're not going to have a good time. Speaking of not having a good time, the Grunt Leader here is going to get annihilated by the incoming Flood assault. He's got turrets up. This base doesn't really have a whole lot. Now, I could be wrong about this, but I could have swore the Grunt Leader thing said it could, like, build buildings on the fly, like, on the ground, kind of like how the Flood can, but I could be completely wrong about that. This is what I mean. Flood has it in the bag on this base and is leaving. I don't know why. Okay, now we're turning around again. Because a way to really, I think, strategize with Halo Wars multiplayer is oh man, that's the big boss from Terminus Firefight. Am I wrong in that? What is that thing called? Yeah, the Abomination. That's the big boss from Halo Wars 2. I mean, that's awesome. Anyway, the point is like you owning a base is just as important that you control it as it is against your opponents, because that means they can't take it. I mean, it's a simple way of thinking, but it works. I mean, if they're on a timer, they're out of luck when they go to take a base and they're all occupied. With games like this, I can see right here on the map we have at least one open slot that we know of, which is right up here. And it's going to get the Flood an opportunity to take that base. The Abomination has got to be like the equivalent of a Scarab. What else do we have here? The Juggernaut? I like that. Once that thing gets... Yeah, I want to see this take out the damage of the main base. Come on. We're having some problems. No, don't leave, you idiot. Oh, that's so frustrating. just take out the base. Oh, holy tanks, Batman. Heavy tanks? Look at this thing. It's got a flamethrower. Decimated the Flood. We have something called a Tiger. How's that going to go up against the Abomination? Oh my gosh. Abomination kind of destroys it. Yeah, one bomb. Well, those heavy tanks were really cool. Yeah, how are the rebels doing? What is this thing? Holy cow. That's an air pad? A little excessive, wouldn't you say? Generators increase your tech level. It doesn't look like a generator. There's like a big battery there. I guess that makes sense. I hear a big beam. Can someone tell me where the big beam is? Oh, that's the big beam? Okay, the infected jackals. It sounded like a scarab beam or something. I don't know really who controls this right now. The tiger looks like a Wolverine with a grizzly gun on it. Looks a little, well, there's no match for that. I should put it that way. Let's see, down here we have, is that Madame Castilla, if you will. The actual leader for the rebel faction. I'm sure there's a lore accurate thing. There's a grunt goblin from Halo Wars 2. Looks identical to what you would expect. I love the backporting. That is really the coolest thing.
Extra supplies. We should flare one of his supply buildings if we
See,
want him
the
to
Abomination could take out Yap Yap GG's easy if it would just go for the base. I hear some screaming by men. Once that thing gets vetted up, I mean, that's not a good look. We're still trying on this base. I'm sorry for the camera freak out. I flew my mouse. These Warthog-looking vehicles are not doing too hot. Okay, yeah, there goes Yap Yap. I would just love to know the process of that. Like, how cool is that? I mean, it's identical to what you see in Halo Wars 2. It does absolutely no damage. Maybe that should be tweaked a little, I don't know. Maybe it needs to be upgraded. Sometimes it kind of gets stuck in this never-ending wave. And that happened last video too, where they get so, they lose their focus, right? They kind of commit to a base to take it out halfway, which this base has now since been healed. And then they'll change their mind and go somewhere else. A blessed warehouse. Okay, it looks a little different from that angle. I was like, is that a different kind of warehouse? Let's see these deacons. They have a lot of stars. 2 stars each. I wonder if Yap Yap's Y ability is the same. It doesn't even look like he has one, actually.
Our ally asks if we need additional supplies.
You know, if you keep asking me for additional supplies, I'm gonna have a panic attack. I wonder if...
Units transferred.
Wait, units transferred? They're transferring me units? Oh, Jackal Pirates Special Forces? Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if that was a mistake, if I hit a button. I do know you can destroy stuff in this mod. So, you know, if you... And I've said this in the previous videos, it's kind of designed as if you... I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. If you want to destroy something, like if your teammate gets stuck, because sometimes the AI does that, you can use the L button on your keyboard to destroy stuff. Field armory, okay. I mean, I like the look of this base, actually. I think that's kind of slick.
Will soon control this base.
Getting a little bit out of control here with everything. The rebel leader's just sending things in over and over and over again to die against the flood. Let's see here. I think, you know, the aesthetic of this is very similar to what you would see from a natural rebel base, like on the map. You know, if you were to claim a base, so I think that's really cool. I'd love to know what else, like, the Grunt Leader can do. Seems to be a little bit calmer now. And again, I worry that this is just going to go for the rest of time. But nonetheless, I think it's, you know, something to keep note of is this is a 1v2 on a 3s map. And I don't think the Flood is struggling at all. In fact, I actually think the Flood is winning. The Rebel Leader's in dead last, in my opinion. And the Grunt Leader's just, you know, existing. I don't think they're playing good or bad. I don't understand how you can be at this base for half an hour and have nothing to show for it. But they're really stuck here. I think if that Abomination just went... I mean, he clearly has the numbers. If that Abomination went on offense, it would really be a whole nother story here. So, I think this is probably a pretty good stopping point. I think really for the sake of time, these missions can drag on, or these matches can really drag on. There's not a whole lot of meaningful strides made in this match, unfortunately. Which is very different if you were to watch the last one. I think it's titled The Flood Takes on Everybody. It was an insane 3v3. It started out, my team came back, brought it with 2v2, on the verge of being a 1v1, and then chaos happens. I won't spoil it any further. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go check that out. There's going to be a playlist for all the videos in this series. I don't know how many I'm going to do. But I'm so glad that these types of videos are connecting with you, and I really enjoy making them, so I'm going to continue. Perhaps in the next episode, we'll go to a brand new map. That Abomination is Vet 1. I mean, please demolish the base. It's super easy to install this mod, so if you have Halo Wars on Steam, it just takes a couple of clicks to get this going. Windows 10, a little bit harder. And of course... not on Xbox. You have to be on PC for these sorts of things. If this is your first time on the channel, we also cover Halo Wars 1 multiplayer. There's a playlist for that, as well as Halo Wars 2. And if you want someone to play Halo Wars with you, join our Discord server. I think that's going to do it here for me. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. And I'll see you, James.